All right, let's get in the trenches with some Chinese internet stocks. Now, Scott, the reason why I want to hit these, they saw a nice rally on Tuesday after being beaten up so much. Broad strokes, do you think the selling in this group is actually done right now?
I can't say it's done, but I can say it's time for an oversold bounce, and we have some new points of reference to look at. Yesterday, Baidu was the first one. It actually gapped up, and you had an intraday play on the 3-minute chart. I still think it's at that easy bounce range, so you have to map out the next resistance. If you take a quick look at Baidu's, here you'll see the lower pivot, this little descending trend line right here. If it could hold here and start getting above this 125, I still think we have another easy bounce back to about 130, and that's when you're going to have to start being very careful to see if this trend of high, lower high, here could be another lower high, so that's your map there.
Right, and long-term investors should be aware that Google is in talk with regulators in China to actually see if they can continue operating there. So I have to see how that plays out for Google, but Baidu as well. All right, Sina, let's go to this stock. Has been hit a temporary bottom?
That one was a little bit more frustrating earlier because it had a quick move, and then if you tried to buy it as it was consolidating, it never made new highs, and you couldn't make much money there. So this one's a little weaker. We need to see if that continues. If you take a quick look at Sina, as long as Sina stays above this 88, 90 area, if we get a move through this 93.40, we could play it for one more momentum move, but then there's a wall of resistance around 98 to about 103.
So you wouldn't be shorting here yet or anything like that?
Not yet.
Okay.
This will be an area, this is like the playground for the Bulls, and then this is the rubber match for the Bears.
All right, let's go to Dang because it's been just a battered stock, but had a crazy rally yesterday. Now, to me, do you want to short that 20% move?
Well, a lot of those IPOs, a lot of the ones that aren't proven, they got so crushed, so annihilated, and they were just thrown out the window, and the short just kept coming in there. And just like anything, whenever anything gets too crowded, something the other way goes. And that's why everyone was paying so attention to it, because if you're on the right side of it, you can get very rewarded. Now, as far as Dang's concerned, this was a pretty big up day, but if you look where it came from, this was the last support level, so sometimes it retests it. So right here, I wouldn't be shorting Dang. I still think it could rally a little bit more to about 15 and change, and then you have a bigger resistance there. Right now, either avoid or look for a little bit more of a bounce there.
What about Youku? Because also rallied, but then got hit later in trading, but still closed up at 8.5%. How do you sort of interpret that? Probably
the same as Dang. It tried to be stronger earlier this year. It then succumbed to all the pressure like the rest of them. This one actually couldn't close in the high, so it showed a little worse, type of action. This one I would avoid. I don't think you need to play each one of these. What you want to do is look for the premium. That's Baidu, maybe Sina, and then look for a smaller one that you're familiar with that you could trust, and then play it that way. Don't be in the full basket.
What about Sohu? Closed up at 6.5%.
So finally gave you a clean move yesterday. It closed in the highs. It was a better trade yesterday, but this has been so beaten and bruised. It's well below the 200-day. This Sohu still has some room. Again, just like everything else, it has this lower pivot. It broke above yesterday, but the 200 days right here, you're going to have to see how it handles it. It might stop it in its tracks.
All right, I want to just round out really quick with Shanda, the online gamer. Really suffered from that too much diversification, growing too fast kind of idea. We don't really talk about that much on morning calls, so let's just hit the stock real quick and see if you see any trading opportunity there.
Let's do it. SHND?
SNDA.
SNC. I don't even trade this. I don't know the symbols.
Know.
SNDA. Looks like a lot of other things. This has a lower pivot. You at least have new points of reference. This was big support that will now be resistance. This is where all the moving averages are. I guess if it gets above this 37.75, you could see a move back to 40, 41, but a lot of bears will probably re-short it there. This is your easy bounce, and this